All right, we are live after a rather painful loss to the Bengals. One that I really felt like at any point we could have taken the reins on this game. I thought we could have grabbed this game by the horns many different times today. But I guess that's not how it was for us tonight. The first half, there's a few things that we could get into in the first half. But with the second half, I kind of want to start off from the end of the game over there. That fumble that we didn't pick up, I mean, just
That's just
why, why,
that's a
why,
backbreaker of a back-to-back sequence from Pennock there.
man?
The not picking up that fumble and then immediately giving up the 30-yard completion to Yashovis.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
that's the
Chase Brown
stuff
ripped
that yeah,
the cap.
that's the stuff that loses mediocre teams games, and we're a mediocre team, and I think it was obvious that it wasn't more obvious than tonight, considering how well our defense played, and the state of the defense we were facing. I think coming into tonight, they were the worst defense in football. Now I'm sure they're like like top 20. But you putting up 7 points
It got better.
at home against the worst passing defense and rushing defense in football is just fucking pathetic. And I think it all starts from one person. I think we all know who that is at this point. And
Yeah.
I I just don't feel like I can truly evaluate any of the results I'm seeing from this team until we get a serviceable quarterback that allows Dable to call plays in a way where he's not terrified of calling anything past 15 air yards.
Yeah, I am going to get into that stuff, but I also want to say just before we start, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the game. So if you wanted to bet on Bengals money line at any point in this game, you could have, and you would have made a decent amount of money. If you think you know your stuff, you can get in on their $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of their $200,000 prize. Like I said, when the game's over, head over to the online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with over 150 slot games. Head over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. Um, with the Dana Jones conversation, is it a little bit of beating a dead horse every week? Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, do I really care to beat that dead horse every day? I don't. I don't. Because at the end of the day, if I'm gonna get on here and give my unbiased, you know, thought out opinion on this team, Daniel Jones will always factor into the conversation. He was double pumping today, the fourth down to Slayton that got broken up. Wandale was open on the back end. I mean, the one thing I'll give him is that guy always runs hard as shit. And nobody can take that away from him. But that's just not what a quarterback is in this league, man. If he wants to be a running back, he go be a running back. Because for every step forward he made last week against Seattle, he was right back down to the way he played against Dallas on that Thursday night, where he had no anticipation, no confidence in the pocket to throw guys into space. I mean, numerous times today where whether it was Slayton or, I guess to a lesser extent Wandale, but there were guys who were covered at the time that he's throwing it to them. And as the quarterback, he had the ability to lead somebody into open space, throw a ball that would take them away from the defender, and he didn't do it again. So it's frustrating, man. It also sucks that Graham Gano is on the IR. You miss a field goal to make it a 7-3 game, where I mean you would be driving on that last drive before the Bengals scored a touchdown to put it away, you would have been driving to tie up the ball game, I believe.
Yeah.
Because it would have been 10-7 already.
Mhm.
So, it would have been 10-10 if you had made that field goal earlier. So you
Oh,
could
that
have
was
been
the second he missed. Jesus
so
Christ.
you could have been kicking a field goal for the win in that situation. So
He would have missed it for the
I mean,
win.
dude, it's definitely not something I was confident in, to see him make it. But
This is the same guy that fucking nailed a 61-yarder to walk us off a couple of years ago.
yeah, at this point, it's what, like 5 years ago?
No, he walked us off in the 2022 Christmas Day loss to the Vikings. Greg Joseph did.
I was thinking about the Panthers game all those years ago.
Gano.
Yeah.
65-yarder.
Oh,
I mean, the fact that we can pick multiple instances of being fucking walked off from 60 yards by
by a kicker who ends up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 kickers who ended up here. Now one of them can't stay on the field and the other can't hit 40-yard chip shots.
I also want to just kind of like not necessarily pick on Daniel Jones, but this is a part of the conversation as well. When the Bengals were, having plays break down, what did you see? Jamar Chase or Burrow to Chase, 33 yards right over our heads. Huge completion. Keeps him on the field. Yeah. I don't blame you, man. This is an all-time frustration game. All-time frustration game. I mean, and there's been a lot of them, throughout the years, right? But I just there hasn't been a team that we've had where I've felt like they consistently get robbed by the quarterback as often as this season.
You said robbed. My initial thought went to the non-hold call.
That was horrible also.
But then you talked about DJ not leading his receivers into space. That 4th down drop, I don't know if we were in the red zone yet, but inside the Bengals 30, where Slay was covered, but I think if the ball gets out there enough, he has way better of a chance to make a play on it. Because at some point, he's got to be able to feel comfortable with, like you said, just throwing the receivers open. He can't depend on seeing a guy with 2-3 yards of separation and then pull the trigger then. Create those 2 to 3 yards of separation for your guy, because it's not like any of the receivers who get snaps on this team have any lack of speed or burst or athleticism. And I just don't think it's severely limiting all of our playmakers' ceilings, because it's a trickle-down effect, right? Like, Dable can't call the plays he wants to call, and then these playmakers aren't getting put in the best situations to succeed, because they have to be handicapped for their quarterback. And it's just frustrating. I don't think that, I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. My brain's kind of all over the place. I'm pretty fucking pissed off. This team just gave up 41 points, and our defense, we had the ball for 35 minutes. They had the ball for 25. The defense gave up, they gave up 17, but they basically gave up 10.
So on a it's easy to come on here and have the title as gut-wrenching loss, and we're 2-4 and all that stuff. What I do want to say is 6 weeks into a new scheme, it seems like they have started to mesh fantastically on the D-line. I think the secondary, for being as young as they are, they let up what? It was really just those 2 big plays today in the second half to Chase and Yosivas at the end. So the secondary has been very, very encouraging to me. Between Flott being pretty decent in coverage and his time in the lineup this year. I mean, Drew Phillips, what can you even say about that guy? He's physical. He can survive in man. He can survive in zone. He can survive if you play him up against bigger slots. He can survive if you put him against quicker slots. That guy is a pillar to this defense moving forward, and I'm so excited to have been wrong about him. He is fantastic. But this is the start of, I don't want to say like something special or something great, because at the end of the day, we're 2-4. It's not necessarily your record is what you are situation, but it's definitely like not that type of situation, if you get what I mean.
I mean, anybody who's watched any full Giants game this year can tell you that. I feel like every time we've come on a post-game show that's been a loss or done a pod following a loss, it's always the defense looks so good, but holy shit, can we put up points? And to your point, the foundation is there. We're seeing, even without Kayvon tonight, Aziz steps in, has a monster game. Brian Burns has a monster game.
That guy, man.
Elijah Chapman has a pretty decent game. DJ Davidson getting pressure up the middle. And like on the back end, Nubin, he just keeps showing up, man. He's, for as much as we're missing in as much as we lost ball hawk wise in losing McKinney in free agency, I don't really notice a significant difference in the run game. That's the thing I was looking for most outside of his ball hawk ability, was just how much X is always around the line of scrimmage. Nubin's also always around the line of scrimmage. He has a nose for the football. He's physical. He reads well. He reacts well. Bobby O is still doing a great job quarterbacking the defense. And even offensively, the structure is fine. It just keeps going back to the quarterback, man.
Not to say that you skipped over this guy at all, but since week 1, Micah McFadden has surpassed every expectation I could have had for him this season. And as a fundamental player, that's one thing, because playing off of Bobby, I expect him to be able to fill his gaps, be a good tackler, all that stuff. But the nose that he's had for the football in terms of causing strips, making plays on the ball and coverage, that is stuff that, you start to look at Joe Shane's resume in the later parts of the draft. We both believe Daniel Bellinger is still a good tight end, and I will hold that opinion, because anytime I've seen him play football, he's been at least mediocre.
He had a catch today, and he was in a heavy. They ran a lot of heavy personnel today. We can talk about that maybe later or on the pod.
Probably on the podcast this week. But Daniel Bellinger, we got Micah McFadden breaking out. Cordell Flott's not really a late-round pick. He was a third-round guy, but that's a player who is looking like, if you draft the cornerback 3 in the third round, that is far from a bad pick. Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, who I want to talk about before we end up turning this off tonight. The list can kind of go on. I don't remember everybody's name off the top of my head, but
I mean, it's not really our late round pick, but 6 for Isaiah Simmons, right? You're basically taking him. He would have gone to free agency probably as a minimum player, take a flyer on him. Yeah. And he's been just about as effective a gadget player as you can be. He had the game-winning blocked field goal last week. He was in a couple plays today. I feel like whenever he's in, he's always around the football. And like you said, Tyrone Tracy, man, that guy's good. That guy has the juice. I'm so excited to watch him be our, hopefully, RB1 of the future.
On Tracy's, I wouldn't say his most impressive, but one of his most impressive plays of the night. I posted this actually on Strickland NFL account. He made not really a turnaround one-hand grab, but he was running a route into the flats, and Daniel just threw a piss-poor ball. He had to turn around, kind of catch it by his head with one hand. As he was running forwards, he had to catch it with his trail hand. Got upfield, broke a tackle, pretty much got them to the sticks, and then he converted on a QB sneak after. Like, this guy, with his size, Not only can he hit you in the hole, lowering his shoulder and getting an extra 2 or 3 yards to finish his run, but this guy can give you a fucking stinky leg in the open field and leave you on your fucking butt. This guy is. This is the answer, man. And I'm not saying this is a guy who's like 85, 90% of snaps, run him out there 20 touches a week. No, that's not what I'm saying. But this guy is somebody who can be the RB1 on a top offense. The versatility is there. I love the involvement he had in the passing game this week. I think he had 6 for 60.
I was gonna say 6 for 56 or something like that.
Yeah, and I really hope when they have Singletary back, I want to see some sets with Singletary in the backfield and Tracy still out there split out as a receiver. I want to see them in the backfield together. I even want to see them, calling some runs and maybe having one of them block for each other or running some. You had that play today where Daniel Jones had the kind of the QB run with the pitch option on the side.
The speed option.
Yeah. Why can't we get Singletary, assuming that there's the buy-in for this, which I guess is always like a little bit of a concern when you have guys blocking, but he's paid up. So can we get Singletary as like, in that formation coming around to block and then having Tracy still out there as the guy off the pitch? Like they can get so creative with these two guys. I really, really think that the comp I threw out there earlier with Ingram and Kamara on the pod last week is like not too far off from what these guys can do. Obviously, it may be like 80% of what those two guys were, but that is still dynamic.
I mean, it's just even the play style, right? It's just a bruiser back and a change of pace back, but that change of pace back also can be a bruiser, which is nice to see. I think the thing that's impressed me most about Tracy, I think, is his processing live time. He's seeing gaps open before they're open. He's making moves with anticipation and anticipating the defenders to force them to miss. He is so balanced when he runs. I think you might have tweeted this, or maybe you texted it to me, but you said you love his pad level when he runs.
No, yeah,
and it's funny enough. I was watching the game with my dad today, and my dad said that he reminds Tracy reminds him a lot of Tiki, and of course, if we know Tiki, that guy never went down.
Yeah,
He's just so fun to watch, man, and especially having this knowledge that he is a converted wide receiver. You can really see that flash when he gets out in space. And to your point, there's no reason for him not to be more involved in the offense. Again, to your point, I don't think he should be an every down back. I think he definitely can be a 3 down back, and there's no reason not to line him up at receiver at times to get both those guys on the field. Like, put him in over Hyatt for some snaps. I don't know. Throw him in the slot. Let him get out in space. Let him run some of those the short Wandale routes that got Wandale out in space and see what he can do. There's a lot of avenues for this offense that Dable can take, even if he has to scale back his play calling a little bit to account for the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just starting the countdown with the quarterback at this point, man. Like, we're through 6 weeks. There's 11 more weeks. Can I do this for 11 more weeks? I have no clue. But God damn it, if Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence and Aziz and Kayvon when he comes back and this line, right? And, all these great players who we have can keep doing it for 11 weeks. Man, I can watch those guys for 11 more weeks. Those guys deserve all of our time. I mean, the run game wasn't particularly good today, right? I think they had an average day. But Trey Hendrickson is no joke. That guy is one of the best pass rushers in this league. And, Andrew Thomas gave up 1 sack, but turns out at the end, Andrew Thomas also got hurt. And I thought
that has me a little bit scared.
Yeah, I think in the macro he'll be fine. If he doesn't play next week, I'll be surprised. But I thought pass protection, another clean week from these guys. Like another week where we clearly had the edge in the trenches on almost both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, T. Higgins converted. Did Deontay Banks really let him do too much? I thought he had a pretty good game on him, in all honesty.
Most of my frustration came, I think it was on T's like first two catches or two of his earlier catches. It was the one where he let him stretch for the first.
Yeah.
When he put the ball in his one hand and stretched, and then another at the sideline when he didn't fight for the catch point. But outside of that, I don't even know if he won against Deontay that much. He was kind of getting open across the middle a ton. And at that point, it's moot, honestly. But yeah, he was fine.
It's just the positives. You know, I had more than a couple non-Giants fans text me and say, this team is like almost there. And with a better quarterback, who knows how many we actually score tonight, but it damn sure would be enough to win this football game. And we're going to be playing this game the whole season with the, if we didn't have DJ, what would we have done? But on my, if we didn't have Daniel Jones counter for this season, like, you're looking at maybe a 4-2, 5-1 record, man. There's points being left on the double-digit points being left on the field every single week. And for whatever reason, it gets worse at home. I just shout out to Desmond for that article. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful what this guy does at home. Like, my God. I think
the trench.
It's my fault. Go ahead.
You're good. I was just gonna say, it's so frustrating because like when you were talking about how well the O-line played, I just got the fucking visuals of DJ missing. Like, he missed everywhere tonight. He just missed everywhere. He missed 2 reads on the early fourth down stop when he threw hot to Slayton for whatever reason. He missed Slayton deep a couple of times, actually. Now I'm going through the big plays. Our one big play that we had got wiped out by that fucking godforsaken illegal man downfield penalty.
Can I go on a little rant about that shit?
Yes.
I fully understand the rules of the game. It irks me to no end when that play does not have an effect, or that call does not have an effect on the actual play.
Nobody's thinking AT's gonna route somebody up, I promise.
Dude, I mean, the guy is past 2 yards. He doesn't touch anybody. He's behind the play. Slayton is already. Do you have a train passing you?
I do.
Slayton is already past him. The ball is out. It's about to be completed. The train agrees. The train agrees, bro. It's just I understand why that penalty is in place. It's just one of the biggest ticky-tack penalties in the league, and it bothers me so much.
I feel like it only fucks us over. Am I crazy?
Nah, it fucks over a lot of teams, but like
it does fuck a lot of teams.
Even the neutral fan who's watching tonight for entertainment, who wants to see that 60-yard play come off the board for Andrew Thomas being 1 yard upfield and not touching a soul? Like, yeah, that stuff is just bothersome to me.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. The bias side definitely comes in because it feels like all of our big plays are short developing, and then it just had long developing, quick completions, just have good blocking to get there. That's besides the point. If we want to stay on the refs, what the fuck was that non-hold at the end of the game?
Yeah, I was really close to that play, but I was like, I'm not going to be a fucking crybaby.
There was a Chapman hold. I think Chapman and Burns were both getting held, if I'm remembering the play.
I mean, the Burns hold was so egregious. I mean, them essentially winning off of that play is just...
It's easy. I think the takeaway is that, I mean, at least for me, there's so many positive aspects to look at. And I feel like I say this every week, which is why the frustration keeps building. there's so many pieces on both sides of the ball. We already talked about the defense extensively. The old line, we talked about a little bit, just continues to get better as a unit. Tracy continues to build on his momentum. Hopefully Slayton, even with Neighbors back, hopefully next week continues to build on his momentum a little bit, and take over some of those wide receiver 2 snaps. And Wandale had a quieter game for, I don't know if I want to say his standards, but we didn't really see too much of him today. And even Theo, right? I thought he could have gotten the ball a little bit tonight. He got open on that fourth down, the fourth down and completion of Slayton up the seam. It sucks that we're so limited because you can see the glimpses of what this team would look like with any sort of competency at the quarterback spot. And, like, I don't like talking about it all the time. Like you said earlier, being the dead horse is not fun. But that's just how much of an effect it has on the entire team's process. Like, if the offense doesn't sustain drives, no matter how well the defense is going to play, no matter how well the defense is playing, they're going to tire out eventually. And we kind of saw that a little bit tonight towards the latter half of the game.
Really on the last drive of the game, but even that was like just because guys are playing up trying to stop the run, and then you get a little seam, right, and you just hit it, you're gone for a touchdown.
Yeah. And, like, we can have these guys like Tracy having, making something out of nothing. I think he had only 2.9 yards per carry, but he had 6 catches for 57 yards. And Slayton had, I think, near 6 for 60 somehow. And Wandale had like 4 for 40.
The Tracy
pieces, man.
They don't tell the story of like how Tracy ran today. I think it was another day where he either got or got close to 0 negative runs.
I'm curious if
I have to look at the plays again, but
yeah,
I mean, getting north-south, the guy just does it, man. Like, for a converted receiver, the way he totes the ball is very, like, it kind of like feeds me as like an O lineman, like a football purist. It's like I'm a like
somebody clip that.
As people say, like, finishing runs, right? Finishing runs, getting an extra 2 yards by falling forward.
Where's Kyle Brandt when we need him?
I've talked about this with Schwinn. It's like you're feeding your pads to somebody when you're finishing a run. And he feeds his pads into guys, man. It doesn't even matter if it's like straight off of the handoff and he's had 2 steps of momentum, or if it's, getting downfield and still running through a DB's chest. It doesn't matter. And for somebody who's converted to the position as recently as last season in college, I love the progress he's made as a runner. And it gives me a lot of confidence in terms of, just where we could take things from here with him. If you don't have anything, I think we can get to some comments because we kind of torn this game apart, as much as we can.
Yeah. In looking for Tracy's run chart, I stumbled across DJ's 2.2 average depth of completion for this game, and the fact that he threw for 5 yards an attempt and just completed barely over 50% of his passes against this defense that just gave up 41 points. But I digress.
This defense was leading points like a what is it? A hemophiliac? Is that what it is? Person who bleeds a lot?
I'm not the right person to ask.
You're right. I should know this.
You are the doctor,
Yeah, I just can't think straight right now. But yeah, what a horrible game from Jones, man.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
I wanted to talk about this for a long time from David, because I waited a long time, and I still kind of waited because I didn't tweet about it last night. But I was watching Mr. Nussmeyer over here while I was doing some studying last night. I think that boy's a hooper, man. I think that boy is a hooper. I don't know. I don't know if you watched that game, Luca, or not. I don't know how into college football you are, but
I was out yesterday, unfortunately. I
okay.
was on my drive home.
Um,
Is he the goods?
I'll leave like the QB rankings and whatever stuff for later on in the season, but taking him a lot more serious as a quarterback prospect for
I
this
mean,
class.
Kyron Lacy is not bad too. That kid is nice. It's something about LSU receivers, man.
They just they know how to play the position, man. Them and OSU receivers, they just understand the position. Um,
Some OSU receivers are,
better than others.
you
Some
could say
OSU,
that.
I think
You could
also
say that.
some OSU receivers are worse than
Probably
some
like
that's worse than some LSU receivers.
you could say that.
Yeah. Um, from Hawkeye 420, I need y'all to convince me why I shouldn't be mad at Pinnock this season. I'll tell you the biggest reason why I think you shouldn't be mad at him. He's the safety one. First year as a safety one.
That was gonna be my
Big
that was gonna
change.
be my point.
So just be patient.
I think no matter like how these little nuances and specificities are always lost in moves like this, I think, because you're not just replacing the player. Like you're not just replacing the free safety one slot on your depth chart. You're replacing the leader and the play caller and all those little nuances that come with a guy who's played with a significant number of guys on this defense for years and had that gelling. Um, I just think he needs more time. I think he and Newman are going to be actually quite solid. I think they already are quite solid. I just think you're seeing why McKinney was the safety one over Newman or over Pinnock. Um, but I think he'll be fine. Like there's the frustration plays make it look worse than the total product has been, like we saw tonight.
Good
But
point.
I think he's largely been good this year. There haven't been any huge um, blow up plays that I've noticed from him.
Yeah, I like. I don't know if he picks up the fumble. It's just not what we're talking about. I don't think.
Yeah, and I don't even think like it's a fair point to bring up, but it's easy to look at um, things that happened tonight and then like point your frustrations at those things.
If you're scrolling through the comments and you see something you want me to put up, just let me know. Um, from my guy Shane. No, bro, his EPA from week 2 to 4 is better than Patrick Mahomes. You guys don't know ball. Nothing to add on here. Thought that was funny. Very true statement. That we don't know ball and that he's better than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would have scored 0 points today if he had the Giants situation. So yeah, very.
Clearly,
I I,
clearly he
I see people on Twitter blaming the OC again, and I'm like, bro,
do they know the OC's our head coach?
I was gonna like, do you know who's calling plays? The guy calling plays is the same dude who you said revived this guy's career in 2022. The guy
He did.
calling plays is the dude who saved this dude from the trash compactor 2 years ago and got him paid. That's the guy calling plays.
He's really gonna go down with the ship too. That's the crazy part. I haven't even talked about that yet. I'm quite scared for Dable's job if DJ is going to continue to play like this.
It depends where the season takes us.
It's yeah.
From the vibes that I've gotten, I don't think Dable is going anywhere really. And
I don't. Yeah, I think it's probably like a good idea.
John Mara,
Um,
John Mara is very. I don't want to say receptive to the fans. I don't know if that's the right word, but you saw when 3 years ago now, right? When we were looking for a new GM, and people were like, "Hey, We do not want Joe Judge here, right? How many days between the Dave Gettleman stepping down and the Judge firing were there? I think 3.
I don't even
And
remember.
the time from Gettleman stepping down to the Joe Judge firing, the outcry was loud. And I 100% believe John Mara does not fire him unless that outcry was there from the fan base. I do not think the outcry will be large enough, and I don't know. I don't think the fan base as a whole, like a majority, would want Dable fired. But even if 30% of them, are the loud minority, I still don't think it happens because it's just the fan base will not be in lockstep enough for that to happen. And I think John Mara honestly just really likes these guys a whole lot more than he ever liked Joe Judge. Not Dave Gettleman though; that was his boy.
A lot of the stuff we went over already.
I'll just keep going with more funny ones. From Sean, Tyrone Tracy over the guy in Philly.
Turn that 6 upside down. It's a 9 now. Did you see you saw the first down he didn't get when he had like 8 yards in front of him.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And then ran out of bounds like half a yard short of the sticks.
Yeah, that dude is.
So you want to look at a guy who's slightly afraid of contact? What would Tracy have done in that situation? Would he have gone out of bounds or would he have fucking run somebody over?
I mean, he would have ran somebody over, first of all. And then even just when they get the ball, I don't – the Saquon stuff is – we've won so hard on the Saquon stuff already, in my opinion. That's whatever.
Just the production from the running back room alone, outside of the bullshit, some of the stuff that's popped up in Philly again.
Yeah.
Has won us the Saquon discussion.
Even like right now, comparing Tracy and Saquon,
that's crazy.
I think the acceleration is better from Tracy right now than it is from Saquon. I think Tracy is a more physical runner right now. I think he has better hands right now. Like the lateral agility and the vision is still in Saquon's favor, but 2 years time, Tracy is legitimately like this kid has a chance to be something special, man. Something special. I forgot what his athletic score was out of the combine. But
did you know that I was thinking that? Could you see it on my face that I wanted to look up his raw athletic score?
I didn't, but I want to take credit for you thinking about that because
you're not allowed to. Sorry.
That's my brand. So Tyrone Tracy, 9.8 relative athletic score, 5'11", 210. 4.48 40-yard dash, 1.56 10-yard split, elite cone numbers in terms of shuttle and 3-cone, 96th percentile for both, vertical 40 inches, broad jump 10 feet, 97th percentile and 90th percentile for those. This is not only a hell of an athlete, this is a guy with minimal tread loss on his tires because he was a late convert, like we said. Obviously, very skilled in the pass game. We've said that how many times on here. And this guy said on the broadcast, yeah, I like playing running back because I get the ball more. I mean, sure. I'll pay you less than a receiver. That's fine. Like,
bro, say less. You can take running back money, please.
Dude, I love this kid, man.
He's so fun. And also
have not cared about Saquon since like week 2.
He's so efficient too. I think that gets lost in like the run stats. I'm also so fucking mad that we went back to zone running this week and then averaged 2.9 yards a carry.
And the few plays where they ran duo was the chunk runs.
I know. And every time I watched that, I just thought about the fucking 15 minutes I spent on the pod talking about how stupid that is. I digress. But he did have 75 yards on 16 touches, which is good for just about 5 yards a touch, even with only averaging 2.9 yards per carry on the ground.
Yeah.
The guy's going to get it done. And that's rare. Like, That's Kamara shit, dude. 17 for 60 and a touchdown and 6 catches for 60 yards. Like, close enough. Welcome back 2017 Alvin Kamara.
Man, we like you said with the duo stuff on the pod. I brought up on the pod how I want to go back to the screen game. And again, the screen game had a couple good pickups for us today. I want to see them even do some of that stuff with Theo Johnson, with the athlete that he is out there, man. Like Brian Dable.
We saw it. I'm sorry, we saw it in Seattle and it worked well when we ran some Theo screens.
Absolutely, and so I don't know if it's a thing where they don't want to put too much stuff on tape or whatever the case may be, but man, I just people who say Joe Shane can draft, man, I'm gonna keep beating that dead horse too, because that's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
This draft class might have saved his legacy. Along with, I mean, we talked about this. Was it? It could have been on the pod. His previous draft class is starting to come to life too. Like we saw Aziz today, DJ Davidson, Flott. We brought up a couple times. Oh no, DJ wasn't his.
DJ Davidson was. Aziz was not.
I'm such a fraud. I need to go to sleep, Con. Can you wrap this up?
It's okay. Yeah. Probably like 5 more minutes. I want to pick out a couple more comments.
Yeah, no. That's right. Oh, I do see Hawkeye 420's comment. Dable gripe, why do we keep running second and long? Feels like we get stopped every time near the line of scrimmage. That's been really frustrating.
Is this towards the bottom?
It's 11:27 p.m. You know, if I had the magical powers to bring up comments, this would be so easy.
Sorry.
That's a good point. I think you talked about putting things on tape. That's on tape now. How many weeks in a row has it been of us running on second and long?
Every week.
Yeah. And it makes the thing we're already bad at so much more difficult, because if you get a third and long or if you get to a second and long and run the ball, it's probably going to be third and long. And then what do defenses know that Daniel Jones is not going to do? He's not going to throw deep. So they can literally just sit their DBs like 12 yards past the line of scrimmage, bracket the first down marker, and just let him check down for 3 yards and make a tackle short of the 6. So that's the frustrating part. I do think there needs to be a big change of pace there. But I think that's really the only play calling gripe I've had. A lot of the stuff that I've seen from him, the concepts are phenomenal. I talked about it a little bit on the pod last week. He's putting together good stuff, man. And the firing worry kind of stems from the lack of results, but the process is there. And the execution, he can't execute for the players, right? He can only set them up to succeed. And I think he's done not a better job. He's done a great job of that this year. And I just think the execution has been poor more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, he can execute for the player is how I wanted to hear you say
he
that,
can't execute
honestly.
for that horse.
That's going to be our Daniel Jones code name at this point.
Dead horse.
Dead horse.
I like it. I mean, yeah. There's no better way to put it.
I think so. Part of this equation is my laptop is going to run out of battery soon.
Yeah.
But one thing that I wanted to bring up is Andrew Thomas said he's going to get an MRI in his foot tomorrow.
I just saw.
Doesn't sound particularly encouraging, but
so one other.
I guess that's how things are for the Giants.
I was going to say one other nice thing for Giants fans to think about after tonight's loss. To save the sudden end of this live stream, do you have anything else? That's funny.
The Obi Toppin thing.
Yeah. Neil is one of one, man. My dog.
The Yo, okay. Um, the Obi Toppin thing was so funny to me. Just reading that just now. Um,
He had
what
his
else did we
first
got here before we get
catch
out?
today. That was nice.
Yeah. What, dude? That guy. I I don't have any hope for Jalen Hyatt. I'm just gonna say that honestly. I don't have hope for Jalen Hyatt. It is what it is, man. Um, I don't have confidence in him. I didn't really have confidence in him as a prospect, regardless.
Yeah.
But even the role that he was supposed to be good at, he can't thrive in it. First of all, in our current situation, and is he even that good of a? I don't want to say is he that good of a deep threat, but when you are a deep threat who is only a speedster, it kind of takes away from being a deep threat in a sense. Because if you follow me here, anytime a quarterback throws to you, a DB covering Jalen Hyatt knows, okay, if I can just stay stride for stride as best as I can, if he has to come back to this ball, he is not making a play on it because he cannot do shit to me. He can't fight over the top. He can't beat me for it on a jump. He can't work into position. He's not going to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, that takes away from being a deep threat. How many times do you see Mike Williams? Granted, maybe not this season, but in prior seasons, yeah, he's a deep threat, and he's running deep. He's not necessarily the fastest guy, but wherever you put it up, he's going to go and come down with it. That is an element of being a deep threat, and he cannot, bring the ball down in a contested catch situation.
I don't think it's crazy. I mean, Slayton snatched his chain in that regard already. Like he's
Yeah,
there's no reason that that Slayton already shouldn't have been getting uh more snaps than Hyatt. But if you're getting like how many times have the Giants tried to reduce Darius Slayton's role and he just keeps popping up and being the biggest producer on the team? It happens every year. And I think that says
you know why? That honestly, I think it's because he's good, more so than these guys being bad.
I mean, that's
Honest
a
opinion.
point, right? That's what I'm saying. Like Darius Slayton, DBs have to be aware of him at the catch point. He can show late hands. He's not afraid to go up and get it. He can fight over the top. To your point with Hyatt, the only way Hyatt beats you is if there's a perfectly placed ball into his lap and he has you by a step. If you can get any contact without getting a flag, you're golden. Um,
Yeah.
and I just because Hyatt's a third round pick doesn't mean that he should be getting snaps. If he was good enough to be getting snaps, he'd be getting the snaps.
Just like Flott last year. Before the last thing before we get out from Hawkeye 420, when can we talk draft? After Steelers loss, it's week 6. I I honestly think this team is good. Regardless of what record or quarterback says. So
Yeah.
I don't know when I'll start talking draft. Um, it'll be
What's our
later
bye?
than it was last. I don't really know,
Is it week
honestly,
11?
just because I've been so week to week with this team.
We have
But
a week
should be like
12
week.
bye.
Yeah, there you go. The thing that if you want draft stuff, what I'll just give you to look forward to is we're 2-4, and the team that holds the number 1 pick right now is the Jaguars. Do with that what you will. Just saying, keep.
You think they would draft a quarterback again? Because that golden-haired brother stinks.
No. I think there would be some conversation similar to what we had with the Patriots this past season. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, man.
So I think that's a decent place to leave it off.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a reason that we still have our picks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shout out to Joe Shane.
Yeah. If you guys liked what you heard tonight, got the weekly podcast, Strickland NFL. It is on YouTube with the Patreon preview over there. If you want the full episode, it's behind our $9 tier on the Patreon. Strickland, forgot what it is. It's like 12:15 at night. Forgive me. But yeah, we'll be back. Hopefully, I'm not even gonna say hopefully talking about a win next week because who knows. But hopefully, we just have another game with a lot of positives to take away. So
hopefully, Neighbors is back next week.
Yeah.
That's something I look forward to.
Yes, that's very true. And enjoy your week, everybody. Or in your
Peace.
Monday. Monday's a holiday. Can I end the stream, please? Is it not working?
Nah.
That's awesome. Hold up.
Yeah, he doesn't know that he still didn't end the stream. That's silly. I am going to just chill here until Colin actually ends stream. I need to get my perms, man.